everyone. And we have just come back from our closed session. And we're going to now have an announcement about translation. You can go up to the mic right there.
¿Hay alguien aquí que requiere interpretación en español? Si es así, aquí tenemos los recibidores enfrente. Gracias.
Thank you. And as we convene our meeting, we want to be thoughtful and recognize that we are on the ancestral land of the Bay Miwoks and Yokuts. So having said that, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. We have Vice President Nzewi.
Here.
Trustee Mayo.
Here.
Trustee McFerrin.
Here.
Trustee Count.
Here.
And Trustee Fowler.
Here.
Thank you. Before we move on to possible approval of the agenda, I'm going to take a moment of privilege and thank our former president of the board, Charisse. We have a little something for you and a card here. And as to tradition at Mount Diablo, the outgoing board member receives a plaque, which has been ordered. It's not here yet, but here is your card. And our thanks to you for doing a great job during very trying times. All righty. So now we will go to review and potential approval of the agenda. Any changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the agenda be adopted as presented with such changes that can be made as needed by the chair.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler,
Yes.
that passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. We have just come back from negotiations talk in the closed session. That was 7.1. We received information. And we also received some information on 7.2, possible discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of a public employee under Government Code Section 54957B1. Now it's time for public comment. Our first speaker is Karna Cruz.
Good evening.
Just a minute, we're going to fix our little time. I haven't properly trained my VP yet. Yeah. That's
That's
okay.
okay.
That's clear. Okay. We're rolling. Go.
Okay. So for 5 years, teachers have been asking for a raise so that we might battle the effect of cost of living adjustments in the economy, otherwise known as COLA. Many of us can no longer afford to take our kids to the dentist or get new eyeglasses because the increases of doctors change year after year. Let's face it, those things aren't cheap. However, it's become policy that our labor at MDUSD remains so, and let me explain. Every year, we are repeatedly asked to the point of pressure to work for free anywhere from 2 to 5 days at the beginning of the school year so that students could get their schedules, books, supplies. Often these are 5 to 8 hour days. Many teachers work repeatedly. So they're basically giving up a week of their summer to work for free. There are things like freshman orientation, link crew, in addition to that, and that's just at the high school level. We're told to do it for the kids. And while we're doing it for the kids, we're still worrying about our own kids. How are we going to pay for our own kids' needs and necessities? There are 45 elementary, middle, and high schools in this district. That's not including alternative ed. That's not including adult ed. When you multiply that times the amount of teachers that are working for free, anywhere from 2 to 5 days, even if you have something as low as 5 teachers at each site, which usually that's not the case. Usually it's anywhere from 10 to 20 teachers at each site. That is an incredible amount of free labor this district is getting. That's not including things like dances and graduations. It's not including things like club activities. Yes, there are stipends for some of those clubs, but not most of them. That's a lot of free labor. When you do the math, it is insane. We haven't even gotten to the amount of time that it takes to grade things. I just want to end with this. Last year, during the Zoom meeting, you apologized for not being able to give a raise. You looked very contrite. But is that going to become policy too? It's food for thought.
Thank you. Next, Jennifer Waney Fillmore.
It's Philomeo, but it's
Thank
okay.
you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Wing Philomeo. I have a second grader in MDUSD. When I dropped my child off at school, there has been not one, but 2 rallies in front of Silverwood Elementary School in December, where the teachers and union are asking for a raise and passing out flyers because they are unhappy with what the district has to offer during negotiation. I would like to remind people that Anita Johnson, the union president, said herself during the school board meeting last year that she doesn't know how to gain the trust back from the parents. I hope she doesn't think rally is a good idea to rebuild the lost trust. Hosting a rally and blaming management that was updating parents about the negotiation with the union as misleading and hurtful information to the community is not helpful. Moreover, the union is blaming the management for decline in enrollment and attendance when they played a major role in negotiation last year for hybrid learning, which wasn't feasible for majority of the families in the district. Many parents have not forgotten about this. More importantly, I and many other parents got a message from Parent Square that there was a music teacher of 3 different elementary schools who was arrested by Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force Unit Thursday night, named Darren Michaels. He is being charged with arranging a meeting with a minor, attempt lewd or lascivious act with a child under 14, and contacting a minor with intent for sex. After getting this information, all I can think of were the signs at the rally by the teacher in front of the school saying our students deserve the best. And on the flyer saying MDUSD must retain highly qualified teachers. If this is the standard for highly qualified teachers, our students deserve better. And the teachers union and school district has some explaining to do as to how a pedophile was permeated multiple schools in the district, which I am sure that I am not the only one that find this extremely alarming. With all this mishandling, blaming and using kids as pawns in lieu of finding practical solution to our problems, no wonder there's a huge drop in enrollment and attendance. Since there has been all talk and no action on behalf of MDUSD, this will inevitably embolden more parents to remove more children from public schools. If that is what the school district want, so be it. However, I firmly believe that everyone, whether child or adult, has the capacity for great change. Our goal as parents has always been to build bridges for our child's bright future, not burn them with victimization and name calling. I look forward to hearing from the district and union have to say in regards to the plan on how to fix the problem they created. Let's help set the right example for the new generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Jasmine Scott.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Scott. I'm the mother of Anaya Scott. I want to address the Mount Diablo School District. For the record, Oak Grove Elementary School. On December 10th, around 2:30 p.m., I received a call that no mother or father should ever receive. I was told on the phone by the principal that my daughter was assaulted by a student and 2 adults. I literally was walking out of an appointment for my eldest daughter because she's been sick for the last couple of months. If I didn't have that appointment for my daughter, it would have taken me at least an hour to get my child, who desperately needed me right then and there. I automatically had a panic attack all the way to Anaya's school. When I finally got to the school, I seen multiple cop cars and an ambulance, making me want to throw up with disbelief. I ran into the office, saw my child, and automatically started crying. Her face was flushed, her hair was messed up, it was coming out of her braids from being pulled out of her head. She began to tell me, the administrators and the police officers, what transpired. My daughter told me things were escalating for the last couple of weeks. She brought it to multiple administrators' attentions, but mostly one administrator who is actually not certified, who works for the Wellness Center, named Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown was notified that my daughter was punched in the nose prior by an associate of the offenders, and he's a boy, and I was not notified. I did not have the opportunity to protect my child not once, but twice. The young lady who assaulted my child said to Mrs. Brown she was gonna knock my daughter's teeth out of her head. That's the first offense, a verbal threat. Mrs. Brown didn't tell me anything. It was not documented with the office because when I asked for the documents, they advised they would give it to me on Monday. I have yet to see it. I understand there's new administration, and I understand that the new administration came up with an executive plan, but it's not good enough for me. My daughter was assaulted. She has a concussion and a sprained arm. It's too late for me to come up with an executive plan after the fact. I understand being in the new administration in an unorganized system, but I don't understand why Mrs. Brown is still working at your facility. I have escalated this and pressed charges against all 3 offenders, and I will be moving forward with actions towards the district. I have been in and out of the hospital all weekend. I've cried myself to sleep since last Friday. This was a planned, organized attack at the expense of my child towards your administration. It is unacceptable. I will not tolerate it, nor will I let it go. I want justice for the young boy who punched my daughter in the nose. There needs to be repercussions. I want repercussions for the young lady who assaulted my daughter. She needs to be expelled because she's an inter-district transfer. And I do want the administrator who did not tell me twice that my child was assaulted terminated. Thank you.
I want you parents to know that have spoken tonight, and I usually say this before public comment, that because of the rules that we are under the Brown Act, we cannot respond.
No worries.
But I know, it's
Yeah,
important
thank you.
to me to know, for
Thank
you
you.
to know,
Yes.
you are heard.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
we will refer the superintendent, the
Thank
man who
you.
needs to know, has heard your
Thank you so
concerns,
much.
and there will be follow-up, but we just cannot interact with.
Absolutely. No, I
back and forth.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next speaker would be Daniel Butrago. I think I butchered your name probably, but you'll correct me.
Good evening, board. Good evening, superintendent. My name is Daniel Buitrago. I'm a teacher at Oak Grove Middle School, where I've been for 10 years. I've been a teacher for 20 years. And I'm here mostly in support of the student whose mother was just speaking. But I'm also here in support and to ask for help for Oak Grove. And this is not my first time addressing the board in this way. I've asked for help for Oak Grove in the past. I stay at Oak Grove because Oak Grove needs consistent people who care. And the issues I bring up today consist of safety, first and foremost, equity, opportunity, broken systems that allow this to happen. The event that took place on Friday after school is probably the worst act of violence that I've seen in my 20 years as a teacher. And I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot at Oak Grove. It's disturbing, but it's not an isolated incident, unfortunately. It's just another disturbing incident in a series of bad incidents at Oak Grove. We need your help. We need our campus to be safe. First and foremost, there are decisions that are being made that are just, to be blunt, poor decisions. We need to start thinking outside the box because the status quo thinking isn't working. There's no way that an 11-year-old child should be assaulted by two teenagers. And I saw 3 adults. I was there. One of the adults who was under the influence, at least one of them. How do they get on campus? How is that allowed to happen? And this is not to throw any of our administrators under the bus. Our administrators have been working their butts off. I've seen them overworking, walking around campus this year, but it's not enough. The systems are broken, right? So I would like to speak further about other broken systems, but I know my time is short. But you know, you have for example, an IB program here that you guys tried out. You're trying out, hopefully, and I know part of that decision-making there was to attract people to our school that have been avoiding and evading Oak Grove. But it isn't a system that's going to attract them. What's going to attract people to Oak Grove is safety. People have been avoiding Oak Grove because they know it's not a safe campus. I won't leave because they need me there.
Thank you.
This young girl here needs people like me, but also more people who care and who are going to stay and stick around. I advise the board to make better decisions, out of the box thinking, and then we need your urgency. Thank you.
Thank you. Kip Panovich?
Good evening, board. I don't have handouts for you tonight, but I have related material. Since I last spoke with you, I have gone back for the last 5 years and I've pulled the adopted budget reports, because in those adopted budget reports, there are multi-year projections that are placed. So I've played around making my little spreadsheets with the numbers of what are the forecasts that people have made over the years. And I wanted to share a little bit of information from that. In the year of an adopted budget, compared to the unaudited actuals at the end, which are really the only solid numbers because everything else is a forecast. On average, in the last 5 years, the original adopted budget has been off in the red by $17 million, which means by the end of the year, there's $17 million more dollars available for things compared to what you originally said at the beginning of the year. At the time of the second interim budget, in that very same year of whatever adopted budget I looked at, the second interim fund adjustment was in the red by 28 million, which means by the end of the year, there was even more money available compared to what was being said during the first interim budget. And for the second interim budget, that average is about $21 million. So when it comes to someone telling me, well, this is what we forecast for next year and the next year, I'm not going to believe them at all. I'm just going to have to wait and see what it actually is. And if you look at the projections for 1 year out and 2 years out, they're not solid. And the truth is, out of 38 values, 31 of them are always about showing the district in the red. There's always talk about a structural deficit. Just using the phrase is pretty simplistic. What somebody should do is figure out where is it coming from, so that they can say, because of this item and this item, this is where it comes from, and that's where we need to target it. Because all I hear people saying is, well, we have a structural deficit. That doesn't help anybody understand where it's coming from. As a final thought, I gave you a chart last time that showed kind of where Mount Atlas kind of weighed in. 2 of those districts or schools to the left, Clayton Valley and San Ramon Valley, have both reached raises of 6% and 4% for their staff. So they're, in a sense, even further left than they were before. I hope we don't get dropped behind here. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Na.
Hi, my name is Patricia Now, and I've been a teacher at Oak Grove Middle School for 17 years now. And first of all, I want to thank you for appointing Dr. Ramos as interim principal. Someday he'll be permanent, hopefully. I just wanted to bring up that right now Oak Grove is not a safe place for students or staff. This year we've had teachers and admin pushed, verbally threatened, and students are making fake Instagram and social media accounts of teachers. And they've posted things that are racially and sexual in nature. Also, Oak Grove, we have like at least 3 or 4 fights a week. And the incident on Friday that happened with Anaya brought this to a whole new level. It's where the 7th grade girl, she was absent from school all day, and her mother drove her after school with the intent of ambushing and attacking Anaya. So this conflict, it had been stirring for a few weeks, and Anaya asked for help from the wellness center. Obviously the issue wasn't resolved. So Anaya did what she had to do. She asked for help. It wasn't resolved. So I'm asking that when the time comes, when our IB program is supposed to be renewed, or the wellness center, I just ask that those programs be discontinued, and that those funds go towards student safety for admin and the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public comment. Now time for communications. District organizations at regular board meetings, a single spokesperson of each recognized district organization may make a brief presentation. Items are limited to those which are informational. Sarah Cabezas.
Sorry. Good evening, Dr. Clark and members of the board. I stand before you this evening to share that this afternoon, the Mount Diablo School Psychologists Association declared impasse for our 2019-2022 contract. We're saddened that the district has been unable to come to an agreement with our members regarding this contract. Additionally, MUDSPA took a vote of no confidence in our chief business officer, Lisa Gonzalez, and 95% of our members who voted approved a vote of no confidence. We believe that our members, as well as all members of all unions, deserve honesty and transparency, as well as reasonable conditions in order to support the students of this district. It's unfortunate that the district is not in agreement of what needs to happen in order for our members to support the students that we serve. MUDSPA continues to stand in solidarity with Medea, CST, CSEA, and Teamsters. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Harper.
Good evening, board. Executive Cabinet, Superintendent. My name is Dan Harper. I'm the staff union rep for the CST unit. And as Sarah stated earlier, we've been taking actions. I'm sure you saw us at the rally last week. We had another one last Tuesday at a major intersection not far from here. Our members also took a vote of no confidence, as all the unions did in the district. And we don't take that lightly. This is a big issue that we keep coming back to. I feel like a broken record every time we're up here. Inaccurate financial information that we're getting. Some of you may disagree with me. I understand that. But 98% of our members voted no confidence, more than half of every single CST employee that works here. That's a big deal. That's the biggest turnout that we've had for anything that I can remember in a long time. And I think as you'll see the other unions come up and talk to you about it as well, they had similar turnout because their members are extremely upset. They need to get a fair contract, and we're serious about this, and we need you to take that seriously as well. And also, I'd like to point out, we were in bargaining last Friday. When the district team comes to us with a proposal, there is no financial reasoning for how they came up with it. We say, well, how can you afford it? Or you can't afford it. Can you give us some information about how you came up with that? No response. So how do you expect us to take that seriously when we're at the bargaining table? I wouldn't. And on top of that, we're getting very close to not having any more room to move. Some of the other unions have already filed for impasse. The district's only moved 1% on salaries in the last month. That's not enough movement. We need a fair contract now. We need a fair contract now. Our members haven't had a raise in 4+ years. I know you've heard that before, but we're going to keep repeating that. We're going to keep coming back here until we make it happen. We need you to direct your bargaining teams with all the different unions to put more money on the table for fair raises. There is money in the budget. There's not a structural deficit, and let's make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anita Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Anita Johnson, president of the Mount Diablo Education Association. My pronouns are she and her. Medea is a united group of educators working together for the benefit of students of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. We have conducted a vote of no confidence in the chief business officer. 99% of the voters marked the box, no, I do not have confidence in the MDUSD chief business officer. Our joint resolution, which we have all passed, is in the packet which Dan has just handed to you. Our concerns about the CBO run deep. When she was first hired, we were concerned about her lack of fiscal experience and her need for a $14,000 tutor in order for her to do her job. Our concerns grew when we saw over large differences between mid-year budget projections and end-of-year realities. For example, please see page 2 of the handout that you've just received. It shows at the top that when the board adopted the 21-22 budget on June 23rd, 7 days before the end of the budget year, the CBO was projecting an excess of $15.4 million. Then immediately below that, you will see that the unaudited actuals for that same 2021 year show that the excess was $41.2 million. The CBO was $25.8 million off 7 days before the end of the budget year. That level of inaccuracy, that close to the end of the year, is unacceptable. The next page shows another example of poor budgeting and something that should concern you. The graph on that page shows the district's books and supplies spending over the last 5 years. In those years, spending ranged from 8.8 to 15.7 million. And yet just last week, the CBO presented to you a first interim budget that projects the district will spend $45.3 million on books and supplies this year. This astronomical increase is unrealistic, and it makes the district look cash strapped in the multi-year projections. The third and fourth pages of the handout illustrate another concern that we have. The CVO is inflating the cost of step and column. She's presented the board with the too high number of 2%. The J90 forms, which the district files with the state, can be used to calculate an accurate number. By looking at the 1920 and the 2021 J90s, a simple math problem shows that the per FTE average increases only 0.82%. The CBO's inaccurate numbers inflates the costs and paints the picture that less money is available for raises or other costs. The last concern I want you to address today is the CBO's failure to do basic math when communicating district finances to the public. The PowerPoint slide on the 5th page of your handout has been presented to numerous audiences recently. The highlighted section under the heading XX attempts to assert that district's costs are going up 9.2% because the CBO has added each of the numbers in that column, claiming that STRS will increase total district costs by 0.77%, and then that state employment insurance will increase total district's costs by 0.45%. The problem with the math is that in that slide, is that each of these categories represents only a fraction of the district's budget. Yet the CBO is erroneously claiming that the same increase to a fraction of the budget will actually increase the entire budget of the district. So consider a family's monthly budget. A 9% increase in the cost of gas in their car does not equate to a 9% increase in total monthly spending. It's only one piece of total spending. It is because of these examples and the numerous other concerns raised in the resolution shared tonight with you that the Mount Diablo Education Association has no confidence in the CBO. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie? Is there a Marie? Thank you. Is it Mark? Power of deduction there. Thank you. And I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name.
No, that's okay. That's quite okay. Good evening, board, President or Superintendent Clark. Tonight, I want to report that Teamsters also took a vote of no confidence on the CBO, Lisa Gonzalez. The 172 members voting, 99% of our membership voted no confidence. This is indicative of a whole year of being at the negotiations table. Last year, while our members were working and serving the community, we saw raises across the board to every single member of the district's negotiating team. We're talking about food service management. We're talking about the TIS director. We're looking at transportation. We're looking at the M&O director. All those positions and every single person across the table from us received raises. And I applaud raises. I really do. But our offer was zero. During the whole time when the numbers we were looking at, we couldn't get any rhyme or reason. And when we asked for questions, we didn't get answers. We got presentations. We got presentations at board meetings that we'd already seen. When we tried to ask questions, we were muted on a Zoom. We have no confidence in Lisa Gonzalez, and our membership does not either.
Thank you. Annie Nolan?
Yes,
Thank you.
I would like to, for that parent, I have been asking, Superintendent Board, well, I have been asking since August. Today I hear, we're getting a badge machine. What happened in this district that you wear a badge? I've even heard from principals. I don't know who's coming on campus. nobody wears badges hardly anymore. And the 100 or so people we've hired, oh, that's right, they don't have a badge because we've had a broke badge machine. I did hear today that one is ordered day late, $1 short. So do we have a badge policy or do we not? Because if we don't, I don't guess we need a badge machine. So what's the point? We also, CSEA stands with the other unions in a no confidence vote on the CBO. But I want that lady to know that talked about, I've been in this district a long time. I have too much history. Been around about 40 something years. And for the lady, this district used to be able to guilt trip me. And I woke up real fast. They don't do it. They don't say it like they used to, because used to it was, oh, what about the kids? Oh, don't you want to do it to the kids? That is a slap in the face to everybody that works in this district. It's certainly not for the money. It's because you want to work with kids. Is the reason that we all hung around so long. Like I said, it was never for the money. And the district needs to not do that. And it's still being done, and it's being done to my members. Oh, can't you stay a little while? Oh, can't you do this? Can't. We already are worked to the bone, and you're putting everybody and their brother in my positions because you don't have enough help. My problem is this district needs to start treating their employees better. This place does not have a good place reputation of treating the people. Haven't you guys noticed how many people have left here lately? Are we doing exit exams, asking them why they're leaving? You might want to start doing that on everybody that leaves. You might hear a lot of stories that you don't want to hear. And we took a no confidence vote also.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our district organizations. Takes us to 10.1. Recognitions and resolutions, review and potential approval of board resolution 21/22-42 for personal with variable term waivers.
Dr. Rubio is going to take this item.
Good evening, board members. Coming to you for your review and approval to allow 3 of our employees to have additional time to complete their credentials. All these requests, when we have them for variable term waivers, must be presented in public to the board. So I come to you tonight with a request for an approval for 3 of our employees.
Madam President, I move that the board approve resolution 21/22, parens 42, variable term waiver as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0 with concurrent from our school board member.
Thank you.
And next is Resolution 21/22-43 in support of Assembly Bill number 75, Kindergarten Community Colleges Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2022.
Yes, so I'm going to present this resolution. And so whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District is committed to providing a quality education to our students and preparing them to succeed in today's economy. And whereas the district has over $1.7 billion in facility needs, which is eligible to be partially matched by state school facility funds. So now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District supports the Assembly Bill 75, the Kindergarten Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2022 in its current form as drafted and published on May 24th, 2021.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2122-43 in support of Assembly Bill number 75, Kindergarten Community Colleges Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2022.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? If not, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
That passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student member. Very good. That takes us to reports and information, staff presentation on Transportation Department. Dr.
Oh,
Clark? Oh,
not yet.
Public Employee
11-1.
Appointment.
We want to get these two done here, so.
Yeah.
The Human Resource Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Sheila McCumber as the vice principal at Ignacio Valley High School. Currently, Sheila works at Ignacio Valley High School as the program specialist, categorical program site-based administrator. Prior to joining MDUSD, Sheila has been an educator with Vallejo and Vacaville school districts. Sheila has a bachelor's degree in French language, a master's degree in French literature, and another master's degree in educational administration. Sheila comes from Michigan, but moved to California a little over 20 years ago. Sheila has a son who is a sophomore in high school, and the entire family loves to hike, bike, and enjoy the outdoors as much as possible.
Thank you. Entertain a motion.
Madam President, I'll move that the board approve the appointment of Sheila McCumber as vice principal at Ignacio.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Would you like to come up and address us?
I want to say thank you for welcoming me into the district. I've really enjoyed the time that I've been here, and I think this is going to be a really wonderful opportunity, and I'm excited to accept it. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome.
The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Alejandro Ramos as the interim principal at Oak Grove Middle School. Currently, Alejandro works at Diablo Community Day School as the administrator. Prior to joining MDUSD, Alejandro taught for over 6 years and has been in school administration for 15 years, serving in distinct capacities. Alejandro has served as an assistant principal, dean of students, principal, and director of student services. Alejandro has a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's degree in education, focusing on urban school leadership, and a doctorate in education leadership. Alejandro is a proud father of 3 elementary-age children. His wife, Laura, is a pediatric nurse.
Thank you.
Madam President, I would move that the board approve Alejandro Ramos as the interim principal at Oak Grove Middle School.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a comment?
I'm really glad that the trend, I'll wait, clap in a second. I've seen it just waiting there. I'm really glad that the transition has been really fast for Oak Grove, especially in what we know to be the most difficult week of everyone who's ever been at Oak Grove's time there. I already like you because you graduated the same year as I from Cal, go Bears, and just welcome and congratulations.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Hey.
Would you like to come and address the board?
Good evening and thank you. President of the Board of Trustees, Deborah Mason, esteemed members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District School Board, Superintendent, Dr. Adam Clark, Cabinet. I need to add Executive Cabinet, Director of Secondary, Samantha Allen. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank this district for the ongoing support for all the sites that I've had the pleasure of serving and supporting. More importantly, for the trust, particularly in this appointment. I am honored. I've heard the voices. I'm committed to leveraging the staff and the brilliance of the students to make sure we move the school forward, to fix the systems, and to reinvigorate the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Madam President, if I may, I just have a comment. I just want to thank Ms. McCumber, and I want to thank Dr. Ramos for stepping up. If you haven't noticed, we've had a pattern, whether it be Meadow Homes, whether it be Oak Grove, YV. Unfortunately, where we have high populations of students of color and students who are in need, we tend to have high turnover in staff at those particular sites. And so I want to thank these two individuals for leaving a position that they're comfortable in and for going into the unknown because there was a need there. And I think it's commendable. And the district thanks you. And I know that the students and stakeholders of those two schools thank you very deeply for stepping up in this challenging time. So again, I just want to offer that thanks in recognition as superintendent.
Thank you. Now it's time for that transportation report that I'm dying to hear.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, members of the Executive Cabinet, and members of the public that are here this evening. So I've asked Chris Leppy, who's our coordinator of transportation, to present an update on transportation this evening. And we actually had this presentation scheduled for the last board meeting, but I asked that we kick it down the road because on Friday of last week, Mr. Leppy was honored by CASBO, the California Association of School Business Officers, CASBO Northern Section, as the Magnificent Seven Leader of the Year. And he received that because it is an award for someone that goes above and beyond and really makes an impact in their district and the work that they do. And the Northern Section actually runs from San Francisco to Mount Diablo all the way south to the Greenfield area down in southern Monterey County. So this is a very prestigious award. There were many that were nominees. We actually had 3 other nominees. And so it's really an honor to be able to let you know of that award as he gets ready to present this evening.
Well, then before the presentation, we will take a moment to congratulate you and thank you.
Thank you. It was a great honor. I wasn't expecting it. You come to work, you do your job the way you're supposed to, and you hope to keep your job, right? Not to get an award. So, and that's, I get my work ethic from my father. So, and I know I made him proud because he posted it on his Facebook, and we're not friends on Facebook, but a friend of mine sent me the screenshot that my dad had posted it on Facebook, which was it was emotional. So let's get to the good part. Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about transportation. So we were asked to get some numbers, or just get numbers of our department, of what we do, where we go, what the miles of those type of things, right, for our department. So we did it for the budget advisory committee a couple of weeks ago, and we thought, hey, why don't we let everyone else know about these things? I believe 3 of you guys are there, right? So I changed it up a little this time. It won't be as boring. So we transport about 1,554 students, 56 students to 62 routes and 11 of our general ed routes to our 66 schools, right? So we also take care of all of our activities and our athletic programs. And we try to get as many of those trips as possible. And as you'll see in the next couple of slides, you'll see why we do what we do. So we track our miles for our department because CHP, California Highway Patrol, tracks the miles of school buses. I'm going to take this off. So they track the mileage of all buses traveled in California, and they use it for statistical reasons. So as you can see in 2018 and 19, we were just about 1 million miles traveled, with the mileage going down in 19 and 20. And that was March 20 when the shutdown happened. If not, we probably would have been over that 1 million mile marker, as well as 20 and 21, we were down. And those miles traveled were for our non-public schools and also our meal delivery programs. We partner up with Food and Nutrition, and we served food to our community. And you really have to commend our bus drivers because they really pivoted and they changed their roles to feeding our community, which was great. And I cannot speak enough about that. So I think they really need to be commended. We also track our fuel consumption because we have to pay taxes on diesel and unleaded fuel that are close to 250 vehicles in our district use, right? So we have there our therms of CNG, which are in yellow, and then the diesel, which is primarily what we use. But in the future, we will also track kilowatts because of our electric buses that we deploy, as well as the future electric buses that we plan on getting in grants as well. So as you can see on the vehicles that we also have lawnmowers and tractors and edgers that all use fuel. So those are all consuming fuel. And as someone else talked about, is people's budgets go up. Ours we spend more as well. We've gone up about 20% on average for our fuel prices. Everyone has noticed a crunch in everyone's budgets, unless you're driving electric, then I fill it back home. So it's not as bad. So we really wanted to commend our drivers here. We took a couple of pictures of them and put them up. And these are our new license plate frames that we've gotten for our buses to really, show that we care for our kids. And those are our MDOC drivers there. I really want to draw attention to that bottom portion of it where we had 100% retention of our bus drivers through COVID and after, right? And we continue to recruit bus drivers through friends and through job fairs that HR has put on. That's been very popular, and we've gotten drivers out of it. Matter of fact, one of those drivers started today. So we wanted to draw that attention to, like Charlotte on the upper right-hand corner. She's been a 33-year employee of ours, driver. She's our #1 driver in seniority. And then we have Scott, our trainer, and Sharon, which have been with us for 6 years. And you can see from their smiles that they really love working with us and transporting all our kids to our 13 cities that we service. We do have 2 contracted services that we use for our special ed routes that we have limitations in doing. So those are the numbers that you see there. So this is a slide that we wanted to talk about our field trips and keeping our trips in-house as much as possible in times of budget crunches and our sites
that I'm cognizant that, they have smaller transportation budgets, right? We really want to work with them and not blow their budgets, you would say, out of the water, right? So what we did is we put a slide together for you. And this is a true slide. These are true numbers from some contractors that we use. And we said, hey, what does it cost to transport our football team from Mount Diablo to these schools, right? And as you can see, our charter services, just pulling out of the gate, you're about $1,000 for a 5-hour trip. We keep those in-house and we do them with our employees, and you're at $218. So you can see there's a big difference there, right? Because we've already got the vehicles, we're paying for our employees. Fuel is cheaper for us because we do get a little bit of a break on the fuel, even though it's gone up 20%. So I also wanted to talk about the rising costs of transportation, because we do talk about books and services, right? We do have that budget code line and we say, okay, well, where do we spend our money, right? So we spend our money on fuel, tires, batteries, and repairs of our vehicles, as well as our salaries. So I took one product code, the one that we use the most, because we have 88 of those vehicles, and 88 of those vehicles has a pool of 528 tires, right? So between January 1st and October 25th, we've gone through 50 of those tires. Wear outs, punctures, we decide we want to kiss the curb and it damages the sidewall of the tire, and we have to replace those tires. Our tires have to meet a certain criteria, which I've got there for you. And because it is the only thing that stops our vehicles and it's the only thing that touches the road, it is one of the most important and safety sensitive pieces of equipment on our buses. So I gave you the rising costs of our tires and our transportation. Our tires since 2018 on the front tires, because they have to be new, they've gone up about 4.5%. And our retreads on the rear have gone up about 12.5%. So on average, our tire companies raise our tire prices 3% at the beginning of each year. That is a industry standard, right? They have to pay for their rising costs of labor, raw materials. So they pass that on to the consumer, which is us. But because we have government pricing, we kind of keep our pricing steady for a while. And then as the new contract comes in, then it'll come up. But we do get a rise in costs of our tires. So this is what I alluded to, is our books and supplies and what is in that, right? We're not buying textbooks, paper, which, I mean, we are, but not as much as a school site. So we really want to bring attention to that, where it probably should say supplies for us, right? Because it has our fuel, our oil, our parts, tires. And which one of those can we cut back on? You really can't, because all those things are required. We have this, is it suggested or is it required, right? So these are a required fuel that we need to keep our department running, to keep our vehicles running in a safe manner. We are the most regulated vehicle on the road, right? Our vehicles get inspected every 45 days or 3,000 miles. We just had our 292 inspections like last week from CHP. CHP will pop in and check out our driving records and say, let me see what you've got here, right? So you really can't cut back on that stuff. And as you can see, in 2018 and 19, we're just about $1 million on spending. We did have it go down in 1920 and also in 2021, but that was pandemic. All our costs went down. We do expect our costs to go about $1.2 million on these areas here. And that's because of the rise in tire prices, fuel prices, and those are all things that we need. So we just kind of wanted to give you guys an overall view of transportation. I know we don't get up here much and talk to you guys about it, but we can. So that's our presentation. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
Any
Comments,
questions from the board?
concerns?
We have one down here. Trustee Count?
I do have a question. I've really
Sure.
enjoyed coming out to see the buses and to see especially the electric buses that we have. And it's so
Mhm.
exciting that we have some. Do you envision that at some point we could get to 100% electric vehicles, or are there some limitations to electric vehicles that would mean that we would want to still retain some gas buses?
Well, I think I woke up this morning and I read that the president had signed something that wants to change it to 2050, where your carbon footprint is neutral, right? So we are going to be forced to go that direction, which I am fully confident and comfortable with. I do see where we could go to a more electric or fully electric fleet, because we do have all our routes are normally about 75 miles a day, and our buses go 100 miles, but you're going to lose about 10 to 15% of range because of your heaters, air conditioning, lights. You do lose that range. So I could see that, and our technology is going in that direction. There's already a transit bus, which is our big bus, that can go 200 miles. Realistically, you're probably going to see about 150 miles from that. But as California adopts more electric and more charging stations are available in public places, especially in schools, I could see where, say, a school from Santa Cruz comes here and uses our yard to charge, and vice versa, right? So if we have a band competition in Santa Cruz, we can take our electric bus, take our students down, and then we have a conversation with that school district and say, hey, do you have a charger that we can borrow? And because we all live in the world of range anxiety, they will say yes. They'll say, yeah, come on down, plug up, you're good. I would do the same thing for my personal house, right? If somebody needs a charge, go ahead, use it. Doesn't matter. So yes, the answer is yes. And matter of fact, we just signed some paperwork so we can go to getting 5 more electrics, the big transit buses. So we are going that way. It's coming. Don't be afraid of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Trustee Mayo?
In light of what Ms. Cowan asked, I'm curious, how long does it take to recharge one of the buses, in particular, the one you were just discussing? And if we were to have a power outage, how would that deter charging buses for the next day? That's my only concern. If we were to, I do agree we need to have more electrical buses, but my consideration is we need to have a fallback in case there's a power outage and we're not able to charge them, in light of the fact that it would be too expensive and there would possibly be a liability if we had to have battery storage to accommodate that charging.
Correct. I feel that we are going to get to the point where the air quality districts are going to pay for these, like the Tesla battery packs that you could have at your home in your garage, where your vehicle, what they call is vehicle to grid. And what happens is when you have a vehicle that's has a full charge battery, it would discharge its battery back into the grid. The good thing with what we have with our corporate yard is that we do have a generator that comes on when the lights go out. So I could see us later down the road, when we did get to that big of a number, where we would put in a some type of battery pack that would be funded by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, because that concern is real.
Right.
Right. But I don't think we're going to get there in the next 5 years. I could see us getting there in the next 15 to 20. but it comes quick, right?
Right.
So those are the things that we have to plan for. But with correct planning, we can get there. And again, I wouldn't be afraid of it. But plan correctly.
So how many chargers stations do we have? And not all the buses are being charged at the same time, but so I'm sure
So-
you plan the charging.
So we have 16 charging stations and we have 16 electric buses.
Okay.
And we built an infrastructure that can support charging at the same time of all 16 buses.
Okay.
So you would imagine the amount of kilowatts that goes through that system. But what we've also done is we've built in, because we have smart chargers, and we've built in a system where we don't charge all at one time, because then you put that big of a strain onto the grid.
Mhm.
But not only that, but you trigger a demand of kilowatts and PG&E raises your rates, correct?
Right.
So we're cognizant of that, and our partners in our charging station, which is Nuvei is our charging stations, they are cognizant of that, and we work together in coming up with a charging schedule, which an overnight charge will take about 6 to 7 hours to fully charge one of our buses. But what happens is one of our buses will go out in the morning. You use 30 to 35 miles of range in our bus. You would come back in the afternoon, and that's when you plug in. The good thing about it being a school district is that we are on a charging tier where our charge rate is lower during the day. Now, if you've got that at home, my vehicle comes on at midnight because that's when it's super off peak. So my vehicle is programmed to start at 12 and end at 5 a.m. because that's when it's cheapest to charge. I don't get home at 5 o'clock when everyone gets home and turns on their lights and charge my vehicle, because then that's the high peak hours. So we know that, and we do the same thing for our school buses, right? So we want to get the lowest rate for our kilowatts when we charge our buses, instead of just plugging in just willy-nilly and hoping for the best. So, and when you charge at, at 8 o'clock in the morning till 10, and then the vehicle goes back out 12, 1 o'clock, it might be back up to 85 to 90% range. And it's good to do their afternoon route. So, which our drivers were a little skeptic of driving electric until, I went out there with them and said, let's go, let's drive this, and they love it. So, everybody wants to drive an electric bus because it's new and it's quiet and it's got great power. So.
Well, I think all of our hearts are gladdened, I'll use that old term, whenever we see a yellow school bus. So
Right.
thank you very much for ensuring that our students have the safest transportation possible in Mount Diablo School District.
That is what keeps me going, and I'm able to sleep at night because we're doing it right. Right. We've got, I believe, 8 years of satisfactory in our terminal inspections from CHP, and we just want to keep that going. A little bit of information. CHP actually uses our shop for training of new inspectors because we keep our buses at that high standard, and we also keep our shop clean. So. Anything else?
Okay, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Have a
Very
good night. Thank
informative.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Lepek.
Okay. Next, we have board reports. So let's start with Vice President Zawi.
I come with nothing. Happy New Year. I hope everyone has a restorative break and that we enter the new year with gladdened hearts. And hopefulness and optimism to get us through what I know will be a tough start to 2022. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Mayo?
I too don't have anything to report. So, I want to thank trustee Nzewe for the adjectives. The one that I would add would be kindness. I hope that everyone has a wonderful break and that you are able to give kindness and that you receive many kindnesses as well. Until next year.
Thank you. Trustee Count?
Thank you. I have a couple of things to mention, but they'll be super brief. I just want to say I really enjoy witnessing excellence throughout the district, and I've had the opportunity to do a couple of things in the last week. One was to be there with the First Partners visit to Gregory Gardens and to the Food Services Warehouse. And that was an incredible visit, really showcasing our outdoor learning spaces, our gardens, our food services, farm to school, healthy foods that we're doing and the scratch cooking. The students were amazing hosts that explained everything. And the First Partner asked some really incredible questions about the measurable outcomes of our gardens programs, as
Yay.
President Mason always does. As well as just some really detailed questions about what it takes to do this kind of thing in terms of the warehouse and the facilities, and what would it take for other schools to be able to replicate what we're doing, because we really are on the cutting edge of this in many ways. She also asked how we could get all of our schools to the point in the state of California, to the point where we're composting and recycling. And so we had a really interesting discussion about that, the way that you need to partner with our trash and recycle companies. And in a district like ours, that there's more than one. And so you may be able to compost at one school, but not another. So anyway, she asked some really incredible questions and is really looking at the possibilities for us and for schools throughout the state. So that was fantastic. I enjoyed getting to visit a TK classroom. And I'm gonna go make some gingerbread houses in a kindergarten classroom tomorrow. So I'm really excited about that. And then I also swung by the textbook adoption review for science textbooks over at Willow Creek. So excited about that. I know it's been something that our science teachers have been looking for quite some time, and being able to see how the teachers and even parents can go review it, how they're involved in reviewing the possibilities of the different textbook adoptions and then narrowing it down through a very clear process about which ones will be piloted this year and then finally adopted with our next generation science standards. So lots of things that I'm very excited about seeing in our district that we've been wanting to have happen for some time. And with that, I just want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday break. And I hope that everyone who's been working so hard gets a little bit of rest and some rejuvenation for the new year. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee McFerrin?
All right. I'd like to share that on last night I went to the ABAR meeting. The next meeting will be on Monday, January 10th at 5:30. I encourage anyone interested to go. We will have a budget advisory committee meeting tomorrow evening, I think starting at 5. Let's see, on Thursday, I'm very excited to visit a TK classroom and talk about kind of what's coming up with Universal TK. I am very much looking forward to wrapping up finals week and having winter break. And I know I am not alone in this. And I hope that I know a lot of us are incredibly depleted. I hope it's really a time to relax and refocus and spend time with family and doing all sorts of things we want to do and not doing the things that we don't want to do. So I just wish everyone the best of luck during that time.
Thank you. Trustee Fowler?
I just want to say that since it's finals week, really look out for students' mental health. I know I would say, well, not this year. This year, I'm not really stressed about finals because my teachers are very nice. And it's what's really weird that I've noticed that like my freshmen and like through junior teachers have been way more strict than my senior teachers. I don't know what's that about, but I remember them, like I had finals in all my classes freshman year, and this year I don't have as many compared to that. So just really be attentive of your students and don't let their mental health get so down to the point that they are not going to succeed in school. I think that's really important, that mental health should be put first. And then the student advisory committee meeting will be tomorrow at 4:15. Really excited about that. We're going to be talking about how the students are going to be involved in extending the core and curriculum novels list, which is great. And then lastly, I wanted to announce that I did get into one of the top historically Black colleges, Hampton University, which is on the East Coast. Thank you. And with that, going into the new year, really excited to see all the new opportunities. Done with these college apps, so I can't wait to get more involved with being a student board member and connecting and networking with other students.
And as usual, I'll be very brief. I too was on the ABAR meeting, as was trustee and Zoe, and look forward to moving forward with that committee. And like the rest of the board members, I just hope everybody takes time to whatever way they celebrate, whatever they like to do with their family, just take the time and try not to think about work for a while and just think about your family and what's important to you. So having said that, we'll go to Dr. Clark for his report.
Yeah, and I will be brief as well, but I want to take it in a little different direction. I just want to take us back, 6 months ago when we were in July and we were, committed to, making sure that our schools were open full time for all students. And then we, of course, offered the online version of school, which exploded from 130 students up to 571 in a matter of weeks. And I want to, recognize the staff for that. But I do just want to recognize, during this time, I think it is a time to be thankful and to kind of look back over, some of the successes and accomplishments that we've had over the last 6 months. And so I want to say that schools did open up and we have remained open. Every classroom has remained open. We haven't had to shut down schools, shut down classrooms. We have continued to work together in COVID mitigation, whether that be wearing these masks, which we all have done and which takes place within our schools seamlessly. We have also continued to use the hand sanitizer and continue to disinfect. It's still taking place today, 6 months later. We also this year, we have pivoted from looking at our students with the deficit lens as if they've experienced a learning loss and really capitalized on that as learning acceleration. And with that, we are continuing to provide high levels of instruction. And we also have a very detailed assessment program to follow that instruction so that we can see exactly where our students are progressing and where they are not. Obviously, we've had some challenges. Our students have been, when we shut down in March 2020, and then, with our schools not being open to students for so long, and even with our hybrid, it was still not what our students needed. And so now, as we are back in school full time, we're seeing the effects of our students being locked out of school for that amount of time. And so we've heard at this board meeting reports of fighting that has taken place. If I closed my eyes, I would have thought that we were talking about Riverview. I would have thought we were talking about Ignacio Valley High. I would have thought that we were talking about, some of the other schools that we've heard about. And this time it was Oak Grove. But we do have students throughout our organization who are suffering from the effects of the pandemic, and whether it's coming out as students having high stress of anxiety, or whether it's students coming out with physical frustrations and with a lack of ability to cope and problem solve, where a lot of students have resulted in violence. This is not the first time that we've heard of parents bringing their kids to an event for there to be a physical altercation. And so what that tells me is that we also, have many within our community who are suffering from the pandemic. And so we need to continue to have that lens. And I know as we get ready to go on to winter break, we have some students where they may have anxiety about that, about leaving school and about the fear of schools shutting down. We also may have some students who are going into situations at home that are very stressful and create more stress. And so regardless, our schools are going to shut down for 2.5 weeks. I want to wish staff and all of our stakeholders, an opportunity, hopefully that they have a space where they can recharge and reflect, and they can give thanks to the time that they're going to spend with family and friends or just time alone. And that we'll come back in January, and then we'll be ready for the second half of the school year. I don't know what the second half of the school year is going to bring. We still have lots of uncertainties in our world and in our communities, but the Mount Diablo School District will be here. We will continue to support our students at the highest level. We understand that we are a human organization, and with that comes accomplishments, comes struggles, but the focus is always on our young people and the potential that they bring into our schools each and every day. And so for that, I am so excited to embrace the second half of this school year and continue to serve the young people that we all serve so, through dedication and professionalism. And I look forward to that. And I really want to thank this board for your leadership during these last 6 months that have been extremely challenging. And I'm looking forward to the next 6 months.
Thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to the consent agenda.
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. Okay. Next, we have our business items. 18.1, 2021 to 2026 Educator Effectiveness Block Grant Plan Approval.
Yeah, so I don't know if we were keeping a running tally of all the plans that we've been submitting over the last year. We are a bureaucratic organization, and as we receive one-time dollars or short-term dollars, they all come with the requirement that we write a plan. And I want to recognize Ms. Sachs and her team. It's a collaborative effort, whether it be in human resources or whether it be in our business department or whether it be in our student services department. We all have to come together to contribute to these plans. And so today, just Ms. Sachs has the honor of presenting yet another another gift from the state that is here to support our students. So with that, Ms. Sachs.
So if you notice in the plan, there are areas where it have been bolded and as well as underlined. And that does show a response to some of the feedback that has been provided between the draft being presented last week and the final draft that is before you this evening. I've been hearing that not only are we in a pandemic, but we're in a plandemic. And so I'm going to continue to utilize it. I've stolen it from somebody. I don't remember whom, but I think it's very apropos for what we're dealing with right now. But again, the plan is something we're very excited about because we've got funding available in order to provide professional development and experiences for our classified as well as certificated staff. So the plan is here for approval this evening.
Any questions from board members or comments?
Sorry. I just want to thank Ms. Sachs from this plan, part of the pandemic, to all the other plans that have been under your purview this past year. is that you like take feedback and make the change. And that's just really good. So thank you. And I move that we, let me get the official words, that we approve the education effectiveness block grant plan.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. There are no other questions or comments. Go with trustee Fowler.
Yes.
Passes 5-0 plus 1. Okay. Next, we have review and potential approval of school plans for student achievement, which we actually had a chance to look at and comment at our last meeting. So if there are no further comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I'll move that the board approve the 2021-2022 school plans for student achievement.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5 plus 1. All right.
Madam President, can I just make one comment on that?
Absolutely.
I just want to encourage, everyone at the school sites to get to know your school site plan, right? Because a lot of times we'll hear that there's not resources for this thing or that thing, or that priorities should be a certain way. And that school site team and that school site plan is a really great place to be having those discussions about what are our priorities, what investments are we going to make this year that are going to have measurable results by the end of the school year. A lot of times we see the LCFF supplemental funds being unspent, or other site funds just carrying over to the next year because they weren't spent. So take a look at your site plan, get to know it, and work with your team.
Very good, thank you. Okay, 18.3, review and potential approval of vice principal adult education position, Dr. Clark.
Yes, and Madam President, I'm just going to ask you to continue to stay close to that mic so we can hear you. So first of all, I just want to say as we go away for the holidays, we're looking forward to that. But unfortunately, when we come back in January and February, we're going to be going through district layoffs, and we're really going to have to make some tough decisions. And so you may be asking why we would be bringing this potential addition at this point as we're getting ready to go through the layoff process. But this is a position that is funded within the Department of Adult Education. Adult Education provides a plethora of services to our community, and they are self-sufficient. And so I have the administrator here if there's any specific questions about this particular position, but I am asking the board to consider recommending the development of this position.
All right. Any questions from our board members? Did you want to say anything, or are you just going to wait for questions? Okay. All righty.
Madam President, I move to approve the vice principal adult education position.
Have a motion?
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay. Any questions or discussion at this point?
I want
Trustee
to
Nails?
thank Ms. Abachi for the excellent summary of the work that is accomplished in the adult ed program, and the summary provided an overview of the increased benefit to our school community. And, we don't often hear many comments about adult education, but it is what do I want to say? It's a foundation that helps families across the district. And when our families are supported in their efforts to improve their skills in our community, then our children benefit overall. So I want to thank you for the detailed explanation, which enlightened me. And I hope that as other individuals read it, they were enlightened as well to the services that are provided by adult education. And just to say thank you for the craft fair that happened a couple weekends ago. That was very enjoyable, and my checkbook is a little lighter right now.
I just want to say I concur, Trustee Mayo. Absolutely. I would recommend that people read the summary and visit our adult school because we really are a leader on the cutting edge in many ways with our adult school and the community partnerships that we have and the way that our adult education has really expanded over time is described here very well. Thank you so much.
Trustee Fowler?
Was there a motion? Oh, okay. Yes.
Oh, I got to speak into the mic. That's right. Feel like I'm back in school, Dr. Clark. All right, passes 5+1. Very good. The last item is review update to board policy 6171.1. Dr. Clark.
Just if there's any questions, we're happy to entertain this. This is for info only, and so again, this is the first read.
I just want to say thank you. It's great to see this, and I think it'll be real exciting to inform the community that the opportunity of TK has been expanded. The birth dates through February. I don't have it pulled up on my screen, but I'm excited for the increased enrollment and opportunities for our young early education youth in our district. Yep.
And I hope that we will proactively work with our community because TK doesn't meet the needs of most families as far as the hours that are offered. And even after school care isn't meant to take care of a young 4-year-old, or even a 5-year-old. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to make connections and partnerships so that it becomes a viable option for as many people as want to take part in it.
I'm really excited about this direction that we're going into, and the support from the state. And unfortunately, sometimes when things come from above, there's a plan that's in place, and then it's up to the districts how we implement it. And so this is something that is going to be a focal point over the next couple of years of making sure that we do this right and that we do it the right way that really benefits our youngsters and supports our families and supports our staff in providing this great opportunity to so many young students. It's absolutely critical that we do this the right way. So I concur.
And I'm also excited that TK was included in the educator effectiveness grant, the professional development piece, that will be part of the plan that gets rolled out, because it's really crucial that our TK staff and teachers are trained in this very specialized area of play-based learning.
Your expertise. Very good.
Thank you for saying play-based.
Okay. So we will look forward to that coming back, and that will conclude our meeting for tonight. And board members, don't forget, we have a few things to sign.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can turn that off.